for December 29th. We have a poem titled For Our Lady of Guadalupe. The taxi windscreen's broken, lightning starred with a crack from one corner, signature of a stone from the Oaxaca road. It drops me by the shanty town of Stalls, where I will buy her plastic image later. Garish, I hope, and cheap, for kitsch is authenticity. A jagged rift of space splits the old basilica's perfect baroque. An intricately cracked stone egg, atilt on sliding subsoil, where the Aztec city's lake was carelessly filled in. Crowds pass its listing shell without a glance, heading for the concrete and stained glass swirl that mimics Juan Diego's cloak, where she appeared and painted her own image on the fabric, to show skeptical bishops how perfect love could visit a poor Indian after the wars and fill his cloak with roses. Now the cloak's under glass behind the altar. A priest celebrates Mass, but we walk round the side to queue for the moving pavement that will take us closer. Its mechanical glide into the dark, floating us past the sacred cloth, and her miraculous, soft, downcast gaze. Not Spanish and not Indian, but both. Lovely mestiza virgin, reconciler, who stands against the flashbulb's irregular pizzicato of exploding stars, and while we slide on interlocking steel, opens for us her mantle, from which roses pour and pour in torrents, like blood from a wound that may never be healed. Malcolm Guite shares that Our Lady becomes the unexpected and radical visitant of perfect love, pouring her roses of consolation into the cloaks of the poor. Even as he rides the tourist's mechanical glide, something in the poet, and so in us, is being transformed and opened up. He's prepared us for this, first in the image of the cracked windscreen, and then in the jagged rift of space that splits the old basilica. And now, in the gaze of the Madonna, there is a deeper opening still. She opens for us her mantle, and that act becomes an opening of the deep wound in the world, the wound that made the wars, that divided Spanish and Indian, the wound of our fallen nature. But somehow, in and behind that, the other wound is opened. We think of the sword that pierced Mary's heart, the wound of God's compassion opened in the side of Jesus, from which blood pours not in condemnation, but in healing. And all this is somehow apprehended by someone who does not yet celebrate or participate in it, yet equally cannot ignore it. The poet is delicate in placing himself to one side. A priest celebrates Mass, but we walk round the side. And yet, in spite of everything, something has been vouchsafed, and we know he will return to the shanty town to buy her plastic image, having learnt a lesson in authenticity.